Hi Scorpio, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. We're doing a reading for the week of the 11th through the 19th. It's over a week, but we have some very interesting energies to talk about. I'm doing this reading because the other two videos I made for this time don't really speak about what we should talk about with regard to your sign. The collective reading for this week goes over the astrology well, but it does not go into a astrological breakdown for every sign. And the love reading for the rest of the year does not cover this information in depth. It just sort of explains the general energy. You can find both up here in the cards as well as in the description. And I called your reading your Trining because you're getting a lot of powerful water energy in strong aspects to your placements that I want to tell you about. So we're going to do Lenormand, Astrology, and Tarot. So we have the stars first. This is just a general look. We have the book, birds in the center. I think you have found something that's a really interesting value that other people are interested in. Then we have the sun and the fox. Okay, so I think you shared information with other people in the past about something that was of value, something maybe you researched, something you found out about, and you just learned that that was not a great direction for you to take in the past. And now you're coming up as the fox, which means that you're looking back at those previous situations and acting with cunning and wisdom. And that's really good because with so much water energy at this time, you'll need it because there will be some transits that come to challenge the open-heartedness of the grand water trine that your placements complete. There's Lilith entering into Gemini in your 8th house, and there's a big opposition between the Cancer Sun and Capricorn Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house this week. So those two energies specifically, the Lilith in Gemini on the 18th and Sun opposite Pluto in the 3rd house on the 17th, it's plus or minus few days, create an environment that isn't perfectly safe towards the end of this week, this time period. But the rest of the time period is very flowy, it's very watery, full of passion and good energy. So let me show you. So we start off with a conjunction between the Sun, Mars, Venus, and the Moon, which are joined on the 11th, the day I'm filming, the day before you watch this video. And then the Moon will transit into Virgo on the 13th. And then on the 15th, enter Libra. And then on the 17th, enter into your sign for the 17th and 18th. And we'll explain that frequency in just a bit. But to begin with, the reason you're not going first is because this conjunction is important for you, but it's not as important as, let's say, for Leos, right? So I tried to choose the order of the readings based on need. It is important for you because something in your public life is asking for attention. And you can look back on the Sunday, the 11th, to see if something particularly stood out about Sunday with regard to your public life. That's when the Moon was in Leo, and Venus was in Leo, and Mars was in Leo. This is a very, it's not a rare conjunction, but it happens once every couple years, maybe a year to a couple years. But this time there's going to be a series of conjunctions over a 8-month period. And so the first one is in your 10th house in Leo. And then the second conjunction between Mars and Venus will happen in your 3rd house in February 2022. And then in March in the 4th house of Aquarius. That's going to complete this energy cycle. So basically, Venus past Mars right now, and then it will head over into Capricorn, have a retrograde cycle in Capricorn in your third house. We'll talk about that then. Mars will pass Lilith. I feel like a sports announcer when I do this. And then Mars will pass Venus in Capricorn, and then Venus will finally pass Mars as she speeds up in Aquarius a few weeks later. So it's really half of the wheel is covered by this energy, something that you feel passionate about in the world. If there is someone you feel passionate about, this will really be a full circle experience for you. Something in the world is coming into the home, and through the home you're doing a lot of, self-reflection. This sort of mirrors that a little bit. The Lenormand cards we pulled may have something to do with that, because stars in the book could be your insight in the world as the sun is, and then therefore you are the fox by March and February, in some way making sure that the information that you have is protected, that it's not jeopardized by other people. There's a lot of birds around you. There's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of whispers and so forth. And so you're going to have to be mindful, open-hearted, but not foolish, okay? So the second transit that's really important at this time in July is the North Node with the fixed star Aldebaran. Now, I've talked about this a lot, but this week is when the true North Node conjoins Aldebaran exact on the 15th of July, and that will be in your 8th house of change and transformation. This also has to do with your partnerships with other people. This transit happens once every 18 years, and at this time you may choose to make commitments to specific people, or at least in your mind figure out what kind of commitments you want in order to share equity resources with others. What kind of a lifestyle do you want? What do you want it to bring to you? What are you willing to share? What are you not willing to share? Those kinds of questions will be really at the forefront of your mind at this time. And the North Node with Aldebaran is so powerful. It tells you exactly the roadmap you're supposed to go on in order to fulfill your destiny, your dharma, move forward, and have confidence about doing so. Now, this aspect is forming a sextile to Chiron in your 6th house, and that's your day-to-day work. Overall, Chiron's going to go retrograde this week on July 15th. Overall, Chiron retrograde will make us feel, Chiron direct, when it normally is transiting, can make us feel in the 6th house that if we only did something more, we would have more. If we did not take the weekend off, then things would be okay. Those kinds of thoughts. And when Chiron goes retrograde, that pressure, the self-doubt of what you've done and how you didn't live up to it in Aries will subside. And with the North Node, you will have more confidence to approach the things you truly want, and also let go of the things that you feel guilty about letting go of. So very nice transit. So that's very good for you. Now, going back to the moon, the moon will be in Libra, as I mentioned before, from about the 15th in the morning until on the Pacific side of Turtle Island until about the morning of the 17th. On the 16th, there will be an opposition between Chiron and the moon, at which time you may come to realize some different ways of approaching how you manage your life, like how to do things differently so that it feels less pressure filled. A light bulb will go off, I hope, for you at this time. This transit is frequent. It happens once every month, but because the Chiron is an aspect to the North Node, you might have a very nice eye-opening experience of what you need to do and why. Okay, so the North Node isn't it is a personal transit, but it's not emotionally heavy or intense. It has a lot to do with what you want and which direction you want to go. The Venus and Mars is about passion, about what you really truly want and taking the steps to get it. And so for you, that will end up in your fourth house of home. So what do you need to change in your closest area to achieve the things you want in the world? That's going to be that conversation for the next 6 months. But here is your transit, the water sign transit that is huge this week. So we have Mercury and the Sun in Cancer in your ninth house of big ideas. The Sun and Mercury are in the ninth house. That's kind of the most public house. It has to do with ideas. This is when we feel our best, when we have a lot of inner transits up in those houses, the ninth and the 10th house. It's when we're most outgoing, or at least that's when the world wants us to be outgoing. Now, if you have some other placements here, that might change, but oftentimes that's when people feel the most uppity. Okay, so you have this sort of up and away energy here. And then in your fifth house of joy, happiness, and luck, you have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. This is Pallas Athena. We're not going to focus on that. But basically, these transits are trining each other this week. So Jupiter is going to form a trine to Mercury in Cancer. So that connection is made on the 12th. And then Neptune and the Sun will form a trine as early as the 15th. And carry on right to the 19th or so. Now what happens for you is because you have placements here, then that creates something called a Grand Trine, which is a very powerful connection of frequency. So Jupiter to Mercury, to those of you who have placements at the beginning of Scorpio, that will be activated. And then Neptune to the Sun. And then those of you who have placements in the second or third decan of the first house, and that will be activated. Both of these transits have a lot to do with wish fulfillment, dreams, hopes, and visions. So you can see where I'm talking about the big heart opening up, feeling one with the world. The ninth house has us connected to the world at large. The fifth house is all about hedonism and having fun and having those kinds of connections. So your placements in Scorpio, regardless of the degree, are forming favorable aspects to these transits. And if you have those specific transits, then that's extra special for you. So you will have this positive outlook, open-mindedness, the Sun, good energy around you. You're going to be feeling good and feeling very open. Further to this, the moon will enter into the Scorpio house. Remember, I told you a little earlier, on the 17th in the morning, and it will form its own connections to Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and the Sun. So it will just double up on your energy. I think that those are going to be big transcendent moments for you, and you'll get really in touch with your heart about what you truly want. It's really important for you at this time to be wary, as I said in the intro, because Lilith is entering into Gemini. That's kind of the snake tongue, cutthroat sort of energy. And then further to this, the Sun in Cancer will oppose Pluto in Capricorn. And again, your placements plus or minus 14 to about 26 degrees in Scorpio will create harmonious aspects to the Sun and Pluto. But this energy will have a lot to do with power dynamics. So if there's something to do with Pluto here, let me bring the chart up so you can see a little bit better. So Pluto here in the third house, if you have some nagging thing a pattern in your life of suppression and oppression, third house, something that you always fall into, a relationship dynamic that you always suffer with, and you never seem to be able to come out of your shell because of it. Whenever the Sun opposes Pluto, which is once a year, that there's a confrontation over that because it's something that's not supposed to be in your life. And so the Sun in some way, and including outside forces, so if outside forces are a part of this dynamic that are holding you back, not able not allowing you to go further, the sun opposing Pluto will break that down and free you up. So the negative side of this is that it often involves some form of confrontation. So if you have something, especially in like the small scale community, that's holding you down, the sun in the big picture of things, world community, will challenge that. And it's going to sometimes, depending on the pressure, turn out to be a very dramatic transit. But like I said, your placements are harmonious to both, so I think you'll be okay. The one that I would be more careful with for your sign is Lilith. Anything triggering about endings, anything triggering about fairness between people and resources and equity, those kinds of things like divorces, separations, alimony, child support, shared homes, shared assets, those kinds of things. There could be like mean energy around that, exploiting anything that already exists. So be wary of that, because you have this big water transit full of love, full of passion and open-heartedness. And so Lilith entering into your 8th house may make you kind of like catch you when you're not paying attention. You're having fun and Lilith comes along and tries to ruin it. It's your birthday party and Lilith tries to put firecrackers into the cake. I don't know. something evil. Okay, so not too evil though. Okay, so I'm using these dice to just bring attention to one area of the chart. And you're not the first one to have this aspect or this transit highlighted. So in the 2nd house, we have the south node with Juno. That's an asteroid. And what's interesting this week about this placement is that it's sextiling Saturn and trining Chiron. Okay, so both of these transits are imposing on south node in Sagittarius the ability to, and both this is retrograde. Chiron is going to be retrograde by the 15th. So they're imposing on your south node an opportunity to look back at family patterns and past life patterns of why you are not achieving the financial success you want to be. And so as they form these harmonious aspects to the south node, you will hopefully gain awareness about what you need to do to break those kind of generational traumas and bonds. This is going to be particularly strong for you when the moon enters Sagittarius in the next week on the 19th. So right around the corner. So it's insight and intuitive stuff, understanding of where you've come from, where you've been, and where you're going, allowing you to be more successful in the future. So if you feel like you can never make your money, or if you feel like whenever you make money, something falls apart, it might have to do with something to do with your family, their approach to money, their belief systems around money, or possibly past life stuff. Okay, so this aspect can dislodge you from negative thoughts, and messages can come to you, experiences can show up that will help you to free yourself of that. Okay, so like I said, you're trining, you have this big-hearted, loving energy. Let's see what the tarot says for you. We have the Empress. I'm using this sometimes as Taurus. It's the Venus card. And then we have the Emperor, Aries. There we go. Right off, getting to the point, are we? I said heart-centered. 5th house is romance. You know, the 9th house is ideas. 7 of Pentacles, long-term plans between you and someone else if you're in a relationship. There could be some planning. Then we have the Queen of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and 5 of Pentacles. Great feelings of adoration and love between people. Let's see what the next message is. 3 of Swords. You're both wary of getting hurt. You're wary of getting hurt, and you're wary of it. You're worried that a commitment at this time will lead to ruin, emotional ruin, will lead to heartbreak as difficult things happen in your lives. I think that the female, maybe possibly you in the situation, feels extremely vulnerable because her feelings are so strong towards this other person. Now, if you're single, then I think that you're struggling with the idea of marriage and partnership. And I think you're wary, you're afraid that if you really truly open yourself up to someone else, that you're going to get hurt, frankly. And then we have the Star card. This is for Aquarius sometimes, but also soulmates. And then we have the High Priestess, insight and intuition, and the Six of Pentacles, Moon in Taurus. Okay. And then on the bottom, we have the Knight of Swords. I was just telling another sign this, I think it's Gemini, that like there are these unique pairings that are coming up with non-traditional elemental dignities, which means like air goes with water, fire goes with water, earth goes with fire, whatever. And so here, I feel like it's a possibility that there's someone in your life who's coming in for you, despite the fact that you have these worries. And I think this person is a message, which means that they may be an air sign, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, but I feel more importantly that they have a message for you about life. Now, they may not be consciously aware of that message, but through your interaction with them, you will become aware of what that message is. I think that this person is very generous and very kind, and I think that this person is there to listen to your insights, which is the High Priestess. See, I think you spooked yourself by understanding certain things about life. And so you're wary because you've seen certain truths about certain things in relationships. And I think you got scared. Some of you have been in relationships that were not generous. So you gave a lot in a relationship and you got very little back. So there's someone coming in to remind you of the fact that relationships are balanced, that relationships do bring in positive things. This person is very generous. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a moon in Taurus, but that's not true for everyone. And I feel like it's a very fated encounter. Some of you may have even felt like giving up on relationships, failed to trust, or in some way, just sort of had enough experiences to be worried. And I think that the North Node with Aldebaran and Gemini, an air sign, is manifesting someone to come in. I have a feeling that there's also been a long wait time for a couple to be in a relationship. They're sitting side by side, but it's a long-term commitment. Some of you Scorpios are still figuring things out, and that's okay. Take it one step at a time. The main thing in this week is that you keep open-hearted, but without being naive as to the dangers that could possibly be around you because you are so open. And I think from that will come wonderful things. I think you're going to gain very powerful insights at this time, especially with the Grand Trine. Let me go back to the Grand Trine and highlight this for you. So we were talking about the Grand Trine in terms of the frequency. The summary of the week is that it starts off with this strong water aspect between Jupiter and Mercury. And then there's another really strong water aspect on the 19th between Neptune and the Sun. So those of you who have placements between 17 degrees Scorpio to about 28 degrees of Scorpio, those will be very activated for you at that time. But all Scorpios will experience this. And through this transit of Neptune, Sun, and your placement, or the Moon, which is on the Saturday, the 17th of July, and it will culminate all week, you will feel more at ease, more happy, more fulfilled, more just full of life and enjoying yourself and really feeling connected. And especially when the Moon is in Scorpio, I think you'll feel that a lot. The Moon is in Scorpio on the 17th and 18th this month. And so you'll feel very at ease and open-hearted. And that's when Lilith enters into Gemini. So some things will change. Be careful of spiteful words trying to drag you into conflict, or some kind of roughness that exploits fears and maybe some worries as well. It's not your time to speak on them. It's not your time to address them. So if there is it seems like spooky things, coming up, then don't let that destroy your beautiful Grand Trine energy, because it's really a wonderful thing. And be open to the people that come. They come in to help. They come in to help you, to show you a different path, to show you a more generous experience. And they're more, I get, level-headed, and maybe from the circumstances in the past. It's hard when you give people a lot and they don't give very much back to you. It's a very hurtful experience. The Five of Pentacles can sometimes represent that. And then it's hard to feel at ease giving again, and that's natural. So this person's coming in, it's fated, it's bringing in positivity, and I hope you look forward to that, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to make the energy real, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.